Happy Monday, y'all. It's actually Monday night by now, so you'll be having a happy Tuesday, hopefully, when you see this, or just whenever. If you find this message, then there's probably some synchronistic message in it for you. And yeah, it's like if spirit leads you to watch something and you have a hunch and it like you connect with it, sometimes there's parts of the message that will resonate, maybe sometimes all of it, but you never have to feel forced to take it if it doesn't feel right. These are messages for the collective. So I know that there are readers that I like to watch and follow, and for me it's like sometimes like every reading will be on point, and then like sometimes I'll watch a few that like I'm not really that connected with, but then like I don't know, maybe like they'll start like really connecting again. And so it's just um, yeah, just take it as it comes if it feels like it really resonates. And if it doesn't, then maybe it's just meant for somebody else and it's not part of your story. But if it is, great, then maybe, it's all part of our story. But I think that the good thing about our readings and the way that we do them is that part of it is a look at the unfolding of kind of the highlights and details of our story, as we're facing them and coming to grips and to terms with what's happening to us in our life. But a lot of how it ties in is to like greater spiritual lessons that could apply to you or to anyone at any time in life. And so we're just basically using our own lives. We're using our own lives and workshopping them and using like spiritual concepts and utilizing them and learning those spiritual lessons and concepts through the workbook of our day-to-day life. So for us, I think that our readings help us to do that. And so in that regard, they're evergreen. And so it doesn't necessarily have to be applicable to what you're facing at this moment. I think that these are the kinds of lessons that we carry with us and we embody, and they stay, rather than the just being prepared for these like fleeting experiences that come and go, And I mean, I think that we look at those too through the weeks, and I think we get a little mixture of both. It's like we get a heads up about what we might expect, and then like, what is this and how is it related? What is the context of these experiences coming up? Why? What's the root of them? And how is it directing me to evolve and transform and transmute and awaken even further in my life? So I don't know, just a little blurb there. But yeah, so I like our anchor message for the week. I think that it's interesting that the Libra new moon coming up, or full moon coming up, it's going to be, no, we just had the Libra full moon, and it's going to be an Aries new moon with an eclipse. That's what it is. So with the Libra full moon that just happened, like these 2 weeks, the waning cycle where the moon is like it's losing the light and it's going dark again to new. We're still under the influence of Libra, and our look at how we have previously shown up or interacted within our relational dynamics, and we're learning how to break those patterns and move forward from like our more healed self in the new up-leveled self, going forward in this like new beginning, in the greater scheme of our life. So as we're looking at us and who we are in the context of our new up level, and who we are and how we are showing up within our relationships with the people around us. And that's, romantic, platonic, work partnerships, family, friends, what have you. We're just learning to take a look at how we are interacting and what we expect and our perceptions. And we're trying to break those negative patterns from the past and transcend them. And so I think we've been doing a good job at that. But this week, I think, is highlighting the way that we're sort of like in this turning point moment, and we're coming up against like a plot point in the story, so to speak. I love using like scripts and like screenplay, like kind of structure as like our metaphor for this life, and you know, just taking it season by season in the series of us. Sorry, I'm just getting rid of a notification. But yeah, so I guess you'll see what I'm talking about. So while the whole relationship thing is highlighted, and we have like these new opportunities going forward, and a big opportunity to let go and cleanse ourselves of that past conditioning, it's like this is where we find ourselves as we pick back up in the series. Like, we've recapped last season, and now the new episode is starting, and like we're sort of into the story. And so we've got these archetypal cards for our anchor message for the week. And this is sort of the lessons that we're going to be working with. Go back and watch yesterday's energy oracle forecast. This week there is a lot of opportunity for a shift in consciousness and a rebirth and a reawakening, and like happy times and really up leveling, and like realizing and feeling like the difference of like how far we've come. And it's like we're now this week we're being shown our anxiety so that we can heal that, so that we can unblock ourselves to having a more love in our life, a more loving experience of life. Because like we kind of have these like two core root emotions. It's like love and fear. And that's kind of like the light is love and fear is like the darkness, right? And so it's kind of like if you reduced things to the most basic, you know, dual energies, love and fear, right? So we're trying to move past and heal our fear to get that out of the way, because it's like the residue that's keeping the love contained, right? That energy and that essence of like unconditional love and beauty and creativity and things that light us up and bring us love in our life in all kinds of ways. So we have been healing, and now we are moving forward into this new cycle. But this week is part of like recognizing those patterns and letting them go. And so, and in order to, you know, move forward unencumbered and have more love in our life. So archetypally, we pulled from the wild unknown archetypes. We've got the castle that we're working with this week, the shapeshifter. Just fling that anywhere. We have the queen, and we have desert. And so actually the queen and the desert came out together, and the first two cards that came out together were castle and shapeshifter. And so on an individual level, these are all connected and they tell one uniform story. But I do feel like there's a subplot, and there's like this like shape-shifting character who is in the place of castle, archetypally speaking, and there is a queen character who's in the place of the desert. And even individually, these can be different archetypes within the self that are in this experience right now, this season. But it's all happening to the self. But at the same time, I feel like there's characters in our outer world that are reflecting these themes as well. We'll get more into depth in this, about this, but also underneath castle, we got the world. Underneath what I am viewing as both the shapeshifter and the queen, we got 8 of Swords here. And underneath desert, we got 2 of Pentacles. I love this card and the art because for some reason it kind of looks like some of the buildings in the Nashville skyline. So I don't know. I love it when the art in oracle and tarot cards is like reminiscent of things that are like super familiar to me in my life, because then I'm like, am I in like vanilla sky and everything is just like a dream happening right now? Is everything just a projection of my subconscious? Are you out there? Is everything just made up around me? Is this a projection? Okay, so castle. I feel in worlds together. I feel that this is telling a story, or like acknowledging the fact that we've really come a long way to get really clear about like who we are. We've gone on this journey of self-discovery. The world is the very last archetypal card of the major arcana, which says you've learned all the major lessons to do with the different themes for each of these archetypes. And so now it's like you've come through the full circle of like the journey of awakening to a certain level. And at this point, you have the freedom to go in any direction. You've made it to this level. And so when you get to sort of your next kind of adventure, you might start over and like go to your next level, but you're going to go through that cycle again. So at this point, it's like I feel like having come this far, having gone through all of these experiences and having gained so much wisdom and consciousness and awakening and healing and transformation, we've gotten clear about our vision for like who we want to become, who we are at this moment, understanding who we were and who we have been. And like getting really clear on our vision and our desire of what we want to build, what kind of a life we want to co-create with divine and manifest going forward. So the castle represents these desires, these dreams, this dream life that we feel that will give us so much stability and security and bliss. It might even be, opulent and sort of like luxurious to some degree, or feel like you're reaching really high, like a castle, almost like a fairy tale. But the castle, it comes with very thick, cold walls sometimes, and it can be very isolating. And, sometimes the castle can become a defense mechanism. And so, the castle can be this different sort of archetypal space in our life that can either be freeing and motivating, or it can trap us or keep us separate, or, be something that is I guess just like that cold, thick, hard, that keeps you just like walled off from the outside, So be careful not to build that castle around you so much that it becomes isolating or that it cuts you off from others. But I do like the fact that the boundaries here around like this inner vision of beauty are pearls of wisdom. So it's like have boundaries built based on your experience and your wisdom and keep those, but also remain open. This green, this is like connected to the heart chakra. And so I feel like that castle, it's like have that desire alive in your heart for that dream that is your fairy tale dream, that your version of bliss, that those goals that keep you going, that soul's calling. But don't let it wall off your heart, right? We want to stay open. We want to have boundaries, but they can have, boundaries can come in, with beauty as well. Just like the pearls, they can come with grace and, be inviting and actually create more value and make things more elevated rather than just any old way, right? Or, you know, having no boundary. It's like in the supernal realms, before energy becomes condensed into form, it's so abstract. And so the supernal masculine energy is just pure dynamism. It's raw, unadulterated energy with like nowhere to go and no direction and no form or shape. And so the next level of energy is the divine supernal feminine energy, which is that womb-like container. It's the vessel that gives boundary and shape to the masculine. And so here is the like sacred geometry of the square, because this is the most stable. It's the equal, stable, secure foundation. The block, it's impenetrable, the square. It's like super solid. And the boundaries around it, you know, it's like the pearls of wisdom. They're precious and they're not to be wasted, and they're not to be cast, you know, in a way like they are, like they're worthless, because it's foolish to do so. So don't let go of all the lessons that you've learned, but don't close yourself off either. Stay hopeful. You can go in any direction. So keep your heart alive with this desire of the castle, but don't let it encapsulate you or isolate you either. And so the shapeshifter, I feel like, is a little bit really connected to this castle energy. And that might be a part of us, or it could be another character in our life that we're having like dynamics with. Or it could be many characters showing up through different people who are all showing up as these shapeshifter energies, because they're playing out as the same theme for you, just in different ways, but it's kind of all like the same connected lesson. But it's showing up in different ways in different people who are representing this shapeshifter, to show all the multifaceted ways that this lesson is trying to cover all the ground for you, so that you can be free of it and fully like aware of it, and break free of this once and for all. So I feel like the shapeshifter energy, I think, came out in a positive sense. And it's encouraging us to be adaptable to our situations, that we're going through this really transformative time. And so it's good to stay malleable and adaptable and be able to shift and change, because this is how we're becoming this new self that we are. We're still kind of taking shape and form. So the shapeshifter, you know, in a positive light energy, has a sense of humor and a sense of playfulness and fun as things are changing. So they're, you know, just like rolling with it and taking it as it comes, and not being too attached, and not having like any hardcore expectations, because life is very, it's changing a lot right now. And so it's better to just be detached from hardcore expectations, and stay open to changing and adapting, right? But know what your core boundaries are, but otherwise, like, don't be too much of like a stick in the mud, or don't be too stern or rigid. Because then when you get too stern and rigid, and you're not allowing your situation to shift and shape, and influences come in that are the universe is trying to use to shift and shape you, then you're fortifying yourself in this castle right behind those walls, those thick stone walls. So yes, the shapeshifter is adapting. However, there can be a shadow side of the shapeshifter just to be aware of, and I think I'm just going to read that real quick if I can find it real fast. When dark, charlatan, people-pleasing, and trickery. So I think just be careful in regards to embodying these new, like, this pearls of wisdom and these boundaries. don't be people pleasing. Be confident to hold these boundaries, because they're actually something like really valuable and attractive and beautiful. And the like being like too loose with your boundaries and people pleasing creates trickery, but it also, it actually breaks trust with others, with you, because they don't think they can trust you because you don't know how to like draw the line, right? Let's see, when light, vibrant, adaptive, and humorous. Okay. Up next, we have the Queen, who both of the shapeshifter and the Queen were sitting over Eight of Swords. And so Eight of Swords here is like, it depicts us in a situation where we feel like we have the illusion that we're trapped or stuck or backed against a wall, or we're in a scary, threatening situation. But all the artwork always shows that it's only an illusion, that the person who feels entrapped and there's like standing there like tied up really loosely with like a blindfold on, like they can just like walk away. Like they're not like, their legs aren't tied, like they're not like encapsulated or anything. Like this person here is sitting there and their consciousness is turned downward, sort of like in a state of like despair or like tiredness or like given up or just downtrodden. And they haven't noticed that they're not trapped in this cage at all, the situation. Like they've outgrown the situation, and it's actually like they think that they're trapped in it, but it's not that hard to get out of it all. In fact, there's a way out. It's like actually quite easy. They're not locked in to the situation at all. So in this regard, I feel like on an individual level, it's like the Queen part of the self that is becoming self-realized within this transitional phase has outgrown the situation of the past and is now ready for expansion, but the Queen just doesn't see a way to change the circumstances yet. The Queen doesn't see the solution, or the Queen doesn't see that there is an easy way out, or it's just easy to just get up and walk away, actually, or, make very like tiny adjustments. But yes, so I noticed like the artwork on this really stood out to me today with the Queen. And I feel like the Queen has been through a lot of intensity, like the shadow and the deep red. It just made me think of like passion and intensity, but like in like a traumatic way, not like necessarily like positive passion, but like, or maybe passion that turned sour or toxic or venomous, or like fearful, like anxious, like traumatic long-term strain. And so the lotus down here, lotuses grow out of mud. Mud is like watered down earth. And so the water element is associated with emotional. And so it's like maybe these like emotional like quagmires built up, like all of these harsh circumstances, these deep emotional like quagmires, like this Queen has risen out of that mud. Like the consciousness has bloomed even in these harsh conditions. And the Queen has been able to like the lotus has been able to bloom in beauty even amidst this difficulty and not the most ideal circumstances. Also, there's a pearl in the center of this lotus, so that represents not only the blooming of consciousness, but the earning and the gaining of wisdom within this. And the moon is here full, and so the moon is associated with the sacral chakra, which also rules the subconscious. The moon often depicts things that are hidden that we aren't quite aware of. But the fact that this moon is full, it's like things from the subconscious are being illuminated, and we're being able to see these things finally. And so, within this situation, within this shape-shifting situation, even though like the queen is becoming more adaptable, this is like, we're having to be adaptable in this up-leveled moment to be able to see that there is a way out, that there is a way to improve the circumstances, and it's easier than we think. We just kept, like, our consciousness was just lower. We were in a lower frequency. Our vibration was lower. We were like, looking down instead of looking up at all the hopeful possibilities, right? So yeah, I think this is interesting. And, this could be multiple people or characters or influences that are seemingly in circumstances that they think that they can't get out of, but in fact, it's just an illusion. And that this is the lesson or the assignment or the challenge in life, the game this week, is to wake up from the illusion that you're trapped at all. Like, this situation is improving already, and it can improve any minute. It's just like you just have to like stand up and get out. Try to get your wings out of the bars carefully, because that could hurt. All right, and then the queen was also kind of leaning against the desert. And so I feel where the shapeshifter part of us, or the shapeshifting characters, the people in transition, or the parts of ourselves that are in transition or changing or adapting to a new life, a new beginning. It's like this is sort of more connected to that dream, but like not letting ourselves be too trapped or isolated. The queen is sort of like, sorry, sometimes my ear itches. The queen is over here feeling like wilderness tribulations, like where water, like something like this change. When is this change gonna happen? I have just been like reaching up from quicksand, like what is it? What is it? What is it in my subconscious that is keeping me blocked in these traumatic, like desperate circumstances? For the love of God, for the love of God. It's like, that's what I saw, this hand like reaching up to this moon. And all this like radiance and twinkling around the moon. It's like all this truth, all of this insight, all of this illumination can be had. It's just that and it's good because we've been deprived, and the soul has been like made to be like starved enough to have an active desire for self-discovery, to delve into the subconscious, to finally learn, okay, what is blocking me? What is keeping me in the wilderness? How can I get through this? The next 40 days are the Omer. It's like a Hebrew, I guess, I don't know if you call it a holiday, but it's a period in time where on a mystical level, it's a kind of challenging period of 40 days that follows Passover. And during Passover, we received like all of this light from the Creator, all of this miracle energy coming in. And so the next 40 days are the embodiment of the energy, where we go through like some challenges to face them, but then embody the lessons that we've learned in order to get that up level, to ground that blessed energy inside of us. But I think, and I am assuming that it is like coincides with the 40 years that the Israelites were in the wilderness, when it was their own like determination to stay in the same conscious state of like indecision and dissatisfaction and ego and small self, and they weren't recognizing the small miracles that were happening on a daily basis. So this represents this time period that we're about to be going into, which is this Omer period, or the Omer of 40 days. But, within that, we're already kind of there. We're like this queen that's like, water. Get me out of the desert. Like, I've been in isolation in the desert. I've already been in the desert in the wilderness for 40 days during Lent. Now I got another 40. So, yes, don't let yourself feel stuck in this desert land, because it's only an illusion, and it's like a passing phase in this initiation process. We're crossing a portal. It's just that this is the season of being faced with that kind of thing, these parts of ourselves that are just these last bits that we can become more aware of as we're like moving forward in this new life that we have, while we're creating a new life for ourselves. And then finally, Two of Pentacles, it's like kind of a juggling act, but you know, this person is doing it and they're keeping balanced. And so Two of Pentacles talks about being able to like task juggle and like maybe having to juggle a lot of things at the moment, but like finding a way to do it playfully so that you don't get bogged down, but you can actually maintain your energy and like harmonize the situation by just doing things and following your bliss and doing things with a sense of like lighthearted playfulness. And so it'll also help like get the queen and the shape-shifting half of the queen, but the queen herself out of this wilderness period by just focusing on following the bliss. Because so many times like we can kind of fall out of resonance with our life because we just get into the grind of it, and then we forget to do the things that make us feel satisfied and like nurtured and like happy and happy-go-lucky and fun. And so we can even fall out of resonance with things that are really true to us and on our path, just because we're just in a rut or like tired or gotten run down or, you know, kind of salty. So it's important to keep a sense of lightheartedness and play. Follow your bliss, do the things that you enjoy and nurture you. But yeah, you may just be feeling like the pressure or feeling like you've got to like kind of like learn how to juggle something for a minute, or learning a lesson about juggling something. Maybe it's about not juggling things anymore. Maybe it's about reprioritizing. But either way, it could be a little bit of both. It just depends on where it's directed in your life. All right, I will see y'all later for our Totally Tuesday manifestation oracle reading, and I hope y'all have a good one. Ciao.